Guys, what we're going to do today is actually a complete change out of some DX9100 controllers, and we will be replacing these with the new FAC controller that I've done a couple of videos about. You can see here we do have two DXs here. These are all going to be replaced. We're going to be switching this whole network that's coming back to this NCE over to BacNet. Okay, currently it is N2. We're going to be flipping that to BacNet. We have a new communications card to go in the Onicon System 10, as well as our new controllers. We also have a couple of IOM modules to replace these. That is something that you will have to do if you do replace a DX9100 with one of the FAC controllers. If there are expansion modules, you do have to upgrade those as well. But you've seen me do the mechanical installation before in a previous video. So what I'm going to basically be doing in this video is, once I get them installed, I'm going to be making my connections. For my network, I've gone ahead and pulled my network cabling here. I'm going to leave the existing N2 network intact until I get everything switched over, and that way it's going to be kind of plug and play. And once we go from there and get everything switched over, we will then be loading the programs and switching the trunk from N2 to BacNet, pulling all of the devices in, and once we get that done, our network will be online, and of course then we'll just have to put it in a user view and that sort of thing. But that is just a quick overview of what we're going to be doing. Again, some of the stuff you've seen me do in previous videos, I'm going to kind of skip over it. If you have ever had to change one of these out, you know that to change these over, it's simply you unscrew this screw here. Of course, you power it down first. The DX9100 comes out. You pull your wires, your new power wire, from here out to be able to connect to the FAC, and that's basically it. Everything else is programming in these. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now that we've got our first controller installed, I've currently got my Bluetooth adapter connected to it, and we are downloading the program. With this device, I am loading both the boot and the main code, just for good measure. Sometimes if you get a controller that's at a different rev than what version of CCT you're using, it's always required. Basically, I have a tendency of doing it anyways. If it's a new device, I'll go ahead and download the code as well as the program. But you can see now, once we get everything loaded, get the program loaded, we're going to get the system online, and I know we'll have to go through and do some troubleshooting. We're going to go through and do the point-to-point checkout, and we'll let the program run, see where we need to make adjustments, and go from there. So this is the first one down. Something you need to be aware of when you load the controller for the first time, you need to make sure that you plug your adapter directly into the IOM. If you don't, you will not be able to load it. It will give you a device exception error, and that's because the IOM doesn't necessarily know how it needs to communicate. So what you need to do is plug directly into the IOM, push the boot and the main code from your device, from your program, then go back to your main controller and push the program there as well. The next thing that we're going to be doing is swapping the communication card on the Onicon flow meter. This is the communication card here. You can see our N2 trunk here. I'm going to unplug this trunk. I do need to make up the connections for the new trunk, which is these two wires here. We'll do that here in just a moment. But once I get this done, there are tabs here that I can press over. You can see how I move this one over to the right. This one here, you can see it. You just simply push them like that and wiggle the card out gently. Try not to damage anything. That's how our original N2 card will come out. And the next step is to install the new BacNet card. Here is our new BacNet card. And of course, installation is going to be just the opposite of removal of the N2. This is our plug, and you can pull this out. Of course, you've got two screws in there that need to loosen those. And once you pull that out, you can make your joint up on the card prior to the installation. Once you get the new BacNet card installed, you can see that we have it there and have it wired up. There's a couple of things that I've got to do inside the programming. Now, if I were to just press the program button just like that, you can see that it's not doing anything. What I've got to do is actually go in here on this particular model, this second button up. I press that once to enable the program mode. Once I have that done, I press it. This right here must be changed to BacNet. All right, I can simply scroll up to whatever I need it to be. Of course, previously it was N2, as you can see there, but I need it to be BacNet. So once I have that selected, I simply hit my program button again, and I will go all the way over to where it says device ID. I don't need to change any of these other settings, but if you were to modify something, this is how you would do it. Okay, and I keep scrolling through until I get to device ID right here. It was previously 17, but now it is changed to 5, which is the new address that I'm going to need for this system. If you needed to change it, you can see the number that is flashing. I can simply press the scroll up button and you can see that number increase, and it will go all the way around until it gets back to 0. So you just set it whatever you want it. To get over to the next number, you just scroll to the right. You press, this is normally labeled reset, you just press it to the right and it keeps moving over. Once you get that done, you go all the way through till you get to where it says save changes. Go up and then press your program button again, and it will save any of the changes that you made in your system. Alright guys, because of the version of the NCE that was installed in here, we could not add the BacNet trunk to that particular NCE. There are certain models of these that are designed, such as this one, that it is N2 bus only, and of course we can't use that with a BacNet. So we have added an NAE here. And one thing that you've got to do is when you remove one device, if you're going to use, basically when you're replacing it, like if you have to replace one for any reason, you need to make sure that you remove it from the site. Okay, if you don't do that, it can cause some conflicts and that sort of thing, and you'll want to do that prior to powering up your newer device. It can take a few minutes for your new device to populate on your network, and when it does, it's very common to see it appear at the very bottom of your list. And one thing you can do is go up to the Tools tab and go down to the All Items Organizer, and what it'll do here is it will basically allow you to organize where your devices are and where they appear even under the All Items tree. You can see that I've got it highlighted down at the bottom, so I want to move this up to where it is in alphabetical order basically, and I'm just going to keep going until I get it exactly where I want it. Just a few more clicks, and you can drag and drop. It's just that I'm doing this one-handed, so just bear with me. Okay, we get it where we want it. Hit save. And now our device is relocated. Here's our device on the system. You can see it's bare bone right out of the box. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add our trunk. So I'm going to go up to Insert, Integration. It's going to give me this window here, and what I want is a BacNet. That's BacNet over IP. You have your different options here. Field bus, MSTP is what I want to add. So I highlight that, I hit next. Of course, that is the device that I'm adding it to. I'm going to hit next, and you can name it right here. So what I'm actually going to do is name this FC 5 I could learn to type one-handed. FC1. Field Control 1. That's just kind of a common name. There's several different names. You name it whatever you want. Just, you know, make sure it's something that you can identify. And of course, this is going to give you the options for various things, speed and all that. I always leave this default. And I'm going to hit next. Kind of a review screen. I'm going to hit finish. Okay, it takes it just a minute. And what we will see shortly, just like that, it has now populated. So now I've got my wiring run. Make sure of the polarity. Okay. Double check your end of line switch. Now what we're going to do is see if we can find any of the devices. So I'm going to go up to insert, field device. Of course, it's giving me this error here because I did not select the right place, which you can select it from this tree, but just as a habit that I have, I'm going to highlight the trunk here, insert, field device. It's just me. You can do it from the previous window, but that's just something that I like to do. Hit next. I'm going to hit invoke auto discover, and it's actually going to go out and start polling everything that is connected to that trunk. And you can see we are starting to get devices to populate. Give it just a couple minutes. Okay, the first one I'm going to grab, I'm going to hit the chill water system. It's going to automatically use the system name that's entered in the programming. I'm going to hit next. And of course, this is the controller that we're using. You know, there's various options, screens, you can change things here if you want to. But for pretty much default, it's going to work for basically anything. Alright, once I have this screen here, I'm going to hit done, and it's now going to give me the option to go out and grab all of my field points. So I hit next. I'm going to invoke auto discover. It's going to run, and it's going to start grabbing all of the points that is in that controller. It's in this box here. If I can open it for you, that one right there. Okay. It takes it a few minutes to run, and once it gets done running, you can just hit close, and here are all of those points, so you can just go through and check the ones you want. Or uncheck them. I like to do them in a particular order, just me. And we're going to be grabbing about all of these points, so I'm going to go through here and select the ones that I want, and I'll be right back. Now that I've gone through and got all of the points that I want checked, there's some I just don't pull in. You know, some of the logic points you can if you want to. It just really depends on how you use them, and then later on you can go back and edit. But once I've got everything selected, I'm just going to hit next. And it's going to bring me to this review screen, which it's everything that I want. So I'm going to hit finish, and it'll take it just a minute. And you can see here I now have the plus sign here. Currently I don't have it there, or I can expand it, but you can see now it is actually going out and pulling those points into the system. And of course we have to go through and do some additional troubleshooting for the way we are doing this. Right there, that flow is unreliable, and that's because it's actually going to be a point that is passed from another device. But basically this is what you would do to go through and add each of your controllers to your system. Alright guys, now that we've got the chilled water system added, I've got to add the Onicon that I had mentioned earlier. This is actually going to be set up to where we're going to be doing some data passing to where this is going to come in, and it's basically just like I showed you just a minute ago with that other controller. I'm going to highlight my trunk, and again, that's just something that I do. It just, you know, it's kind of the routine that I've gotten into. You can select it from the tree, but I'm going to go back up to Insert, Field Device, and just bear with me, guys. I'm trying to do this one-handed, and just to show you guys how this is done. I'm going to hit Next. Of course, I'm going to do the Invoke Auto Discover, and since I just plugged this in, I am going to force it to relearn it. Okay, if you do a scan on something, anytime you add a device, it's a good idea to let it relearn each time. It's just what I do. And you can see there are the two devices that it's already seen, but I'm going to give it just a minute. You can see the BacNet card there, and we are plugged in. Okay. You can see here BTU meter. I'm going to highlight that, and of course it's giving me this generic name. I'm going to change that to Onicon. Onicon BTU, just like that. And this, again, guys, is just like I did previously. Hit Next. It's going to give me the option for other things. I'm not changing any of that. I'm going to hit Next. I'm going to hit Finish. And now, of course, I don't want to add any trends. I'm going to hit Done here, and that's going to give me the option of discovering the points. So again, hit Next or New, Invoke Auto Discover, and you can come back in and do this later, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Try to get the system up and running. But guys, this is just like I had done previously, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip over this. Okay, I have got the points selected that I want to add. So again, go down and hit Next. And here's the points. Basically, I'm not really getting a lot from this. Just flow, that sort of thing, temperature, BTU total. And again, I can come back later on and add more if I wanted to. So here's our BTU meter. You can see that it hasn't populated all those yet. It's still talking. There we go. And we can see here our flow, volume rate, supply return temps, that sort of thing. Right now, with the temperatures being what they are, the system is down, so that's why we're not showing any flow. So we're going to keep going. So highlight my trunk again, insert field device. And I know there are tools out there where you can do this a lot quicker. You can do it inside SCT and that sort of thing. But you know, this is just kind of how I do it. Since it's already seen the air handler, I'm just going to grab it. It's already given it my name. So go down and hit, if I can find my mouse, I'm trying to show you guys and looking through here and can't see it myself. Hit Next. Now we're going after the points in that controller right there. Okay. Again, hit Next. Hit Finish. Now pretty much everything under those screens that I'm just kind of skipping over just stays at default. You know, there's no need to change everything. So now I'm going to go out, get the points, Invoke Auto Discover. So it's going to go out and learn all of the points in that controller. We'll give it just a few minutes to scan. Just like it's doing. And depending on the amount of points that's in the controller and depending on the speed of your network, you know, it can take this a couple minutes before it actually pulls everything. And right now, this is just kind of a rough way of doing it. You can see I've still got a DX over there, but once I get everything finished up on this and squared away, this one's a little bit more critical, so I'm leaving that one running standalone just on that DX until I get all the bugs worked out of this one. You know, and these two are basically identical, so once I get the bugs worked out of this one, I'll know what to do on that one when I get it installed. But you can see there, we got our IOM installed, the FAC here, and you know, I've got an issue with that Cetra, these two Cetras, for some reason that I got to figure out. Once I get that figured out, then I'll be able to move on to that. So now we have discovered our points. So I'm going to close this and just go through here, grab the points that I want, and go from there. I'm not going to bore you with this, you've seen it a couple times, so I'll save you the trouble. Alright guys, I am going to do the final name change on the system, and of course it is going to go through and reset. This is something you don't have to do. This is just the way that I pulled this one in, the way that I did some work remotely with this unit. I'm going to go in and actually change the computer name. You can see now what it's showing up as. It's not the name it's going to stay. This is actually the name that it's going to be. I've edited it under the focus screen. When I go in here to network, and I've got other videos about NAEs and how to add those to your system, so you might want to check those out. And of course that is the computer name, and I'm going to change that, and when I do, the system is going to want to reset. So I'm going to hit edit. I've already archived it. So, and since I copied it just a minute ago, I'm just going to hit Control V to paste it in, just like that. When I hit the save button, it is going to reset. As you can see here, it's going to give me the warning, and of course I do want to continue. So it will go offline, reset, and then pop back in. It's just going to take it a few minutes to do that. Something that I did not mention in the video was that when you go in and address your devices, you need to make sure that you go under the Networks tab in CCT and set the address in your programming to match the device. You also need to make sure that you set the BacNet instance ID as well. You don't need to leave all of those the same. You can have problems on your trunk, and sometimes your devices just will not pull in. So make sure that you update those as well. And as just a quick note on the addressing, one thing you want to do as well is to make your addressing sequential. You know, begin with one number and then go to the next number. Don't skip. Keep them just one right after the other. Also double check your polarity on your wiring. Make sure that your positive and negative as well are in the correct location, because if you do not do that, your devices are not going to work and you can actually bring your entire trunk down. But guys, I hope you liked the video. It's kind of rough. I was literally in a mechanical room as I was making it, just filming it on my phone. Anyways, just let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. I'll try to get to as many as I can. But hope you liked the video. Be sure to check out the rest of the videos on the channel. Check out the links down in the description. If there are any tools or anything that you are needing, it kind of helps to go to support the channel. But guys, thanks for watching. Let me hear from you, and we'll see you next time.